So, we see threads continuing to move forward. I feel bad for Brick. I mean, I have trouble getting suits that in fact match me, and I'm just a broad, Cheryl-bested, Cheryl, oh my God, barrel-chested kind of a guy. I can't imagine someone who's got that kind of physique, right? You notice we're still seeing the, shall we say, cultural bias against sidekicks. Now, it makes sense. They are literally lesser, but at the same time, you can kind of see why that's not really conductive to good anything. I suppose that's how most cultural biases are, actually, now that you think about it. So, of course, they try to recruit Speedy. And, of course, Speedy, he's a rogue hero, going off on his own missions. Yes, he will be the one to bring the light to the darkness, to be the best. Look, he's being a drama queen, okay? What do you want from me? I wanted to smack him and adjust my shirt. Ow. Fun fact. In many capes settings, a rogue superhero is generally considered as dangerous as a supervillain. In fact, I can't believe we haven't had a lot of stories over the many, many years dealing with more of the politics of superheroing. Like the superhero community and their internal politics. Not the way they interact with the rest of the world. We've covered that several times. I'm talking about factions and teams and groups and organizations and how they interact and coordinate with each other. We need more of that, damn it, more politics. Red Tornado. Red Tornado was the guy's name. How many of you commented on the last video? Oh, his name was Red Tornado, you moron. Now, I got to admit something. I've been there. I've been a teenager. I know, shocking. It's a time of my life that I don't like remembering all that much. But damn it, Wally! Just tone it down a bit. I know she's cute and green, which is always a plus, but just rein it in a bit, buddy. God, I want to smack him, too. All sorts of smacking going around in this episode. So, Megan Ors, also known as Megan, and what do I say about her? She's adorable, of course. She reminds me of, I can't think of her name, Star something in the other, Young Justice League show. Also from the other Young Justice League show. There's the really lighthearted, cartoony one, and then there's the far more serious cartoon one. And then there's this one, which has nothing to do with anything, because this is an Elseworld story. But anyways, the definite fish out of water situation. Has no idea what she's doing. Is still trying to figure out how any of this works. And what's funny is that same thing could be said about Superboy, couldn't it? The idea that Superboy has no idea what he's doing or how he's doing it because he's still trying to figure out basic coordination and interaction. Like, there's this really great part where Kaldur, that's not his name. No, it is Kaldor. I wrote it down. Kaldor. It's like, look, I get it. I don't need to read minds. You feel bad because you overreacted, and you don't know how to make it up to them. Just say you're sorry. And he's like, and for all of his anger issues, I'm starting to really sympathize with Superboy. The kid's, well, he has no childhood to speak of, and he has no real development to speak of. He's basically a clone. In the Star Wars sense. He's a fresh clone trooper, basically. He hasn't really developed a personality yet. He hasn't really developed as an individual yet. And he's going to probably be working on that throughout the course of the season, at least I would imagine so. Also, Kaldur, by the way, is my favorite character so far. By far, I just want to make that very clear. He'd probably be the one I would be in this team-up, funnily enough. By the way, fun fact, I like how Robin has been forbidden by bats to give out his real name. Because that's so apropos, isn't it? Because you never know. So, let's see. We've got the angry one, who's the source of drama. We've got the fish out of the water. We've got the snarky one, the polite one, and the funny one. Did I miss any in there? Side note. I thought about this in the first episode as well, actually. Isn't it kind of strange how the weird and abnormal became so ordinary in DC, like a long time ago? Like, you see people wandering around and giant alien warp things are coming through, and it's just a Tuesday at this point. Like, it's just ordinary. That's just DC. DC jumped off the deep end, like, 40 years ago. So none of this is new. It's just interesting to think about. Anyways, moving on. I do like how some of the things that several of their, like Martian Manhunter or the Elder Flash can do. I like how a lot of their things are not actually powers. It's just how they use their powers. Specific techniques. I actually have a parallel here, if you'll forgive me for talking for just a minute. How many of you have hand-eye coordination? I imagine a bunch of you do. And I imagine a bunch of you could pick up this controller and play a lot of video games just right now, right? But that's the power, right? The skill, the technique, the practice is what allows some people to play that at a much higher level. Getting back to the idea of like a speedrunner, a real speedrunner, not like me. Someone who can play very, very well and very, very good can do things with that same controller that someone else can't just because they have the experience with it and they've practiced their craft. I just like that take on it. Just wanted to comment on that. So then Mr. Twister shows up and he's voiced by John Delancey. Oh my God, it's John Delancey. We'll probably never see him again, but I'm just super happy to hear John Delancey and everything. So naturally, Robin rushes in by himself. I wonder if we're going to find out why. Don't mistake me. I get that Bats is kind of a solo operation in general, so it makes sense that Robin kind of riffs off of that style. But so far, no actual explanation has been given for why he is the way he is. We know why all the rest of them are. Kaldur is someone who's trying to rope the team together because he actually believes in the concept. Superboy has anger issues and is not really a human being yet. You know what I mean by human. Is not really a fully developed person yet. Megan is someone who's still trying to get used to all of this and only has a little bit of control over her powers. And then we have Wally, who's a kid. Just to put it as simply as I possibly can. So what the heck is going on with Robin? I guess we'll find out later. Hopefully. So what is it with Robin removing the prefixes from words? Anyways. I have to say, they think it's Red Tornado. It would have actually made a weird amount of sense if it actually had been Red Tornado, to literally test them. Basically to throw them up against a supervillain of substantial power in a way that's not actually going to get them killed. They say, oh, well, this is just playing along, or this is treating us like babies or whatever. No, it's called practice. And that's the kind of thing that they should actually be asking for and should probably be seeking out rather than going after actual supervillains who are actually trying to kill them. Just my thought on the matter. At least to start. Remember, they just started this gig. So, I wrote down a note here in my notes. It says they really do need to learn teamwork, and they really don't have it. Not a minute after I wrote that, Kaldur says, I don't think we really have a team. Yeah, like I said, Kaldur, I'm just... But I do want to add, I really was pissed off that the whole team basically yells at Megan for making a small mistake. I mean, granted, small mistakes can cause serious issues in a crisis situation, but they really go hard on her for that, and actually pissed me off. So, she goes to talk to Red Tornado, and Red Tornado says if I was to intervene, it would not be to help. Now, I immediately jotted down some notes, like, yes, of course, that makes perfect sense. After all, he's a higher-tier superhero who knows what he's doing better. If he intervened, it would not be to help. It would be to do the opposite of help, to prevent them from learning and growing. It would just be to solve the problem. That is to say, the problem of the supervillain, not the problem of the team. Make sense? Now, what's funny about this is then Red Tornado says this word for word, basically, at the end of the episode. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I was on the right track there. Sometimes I do wonder if collateral damage has just become part of the appeal of superhero stuff. Like a Godzilla flick. I mean, logically speaking, you think, oh my god, those poor buildings and those poor people. But let's be honest, when we're watching a Godzilla flick, we're watching it, smash it with a hammer, right? I'm wondering if that's part of the appeal. I don't know. Anyways, so we get to the end of the episode. Woo! And Superboy manages at length to finally just say, sorry. And then he walks off. And I really like that because it's so awkward. Which is exactly what it should be. Both for the kid perspective and for the developing being perspective. So far I'm liking this show. Here's hoping it doesn't nosedive in quality. That's what's going to happen. I'm cursing myself here, aren't I? I'll see you guys next time. If I can find the button.